This year, the York County Regional Chamber will be focused on 4 key areas, and leading that list is advocacy. Every year, our Government Relations Task Force establishes a list of legislative priorities that we monitor, and when a key business issue is up for vote in Columbia, we take a look at that. We evaluate it and we determine if we're going to get more aggressive on that position or not. Today, I'm interviewing David Oxendine of RedLine Chemicals, and he serves on our board of directors, he serves on our Government Relations Task Force, and this year, Dave has also volunteered to be one of our 3 co-champions of our advocacy effort to kind of advance and expand this. So Dave, let's just jump right in. As a chamber member, why is it important to you that the chamber is active in legislative affairs?
Well, first of all, as a business owner, we're engaged in getting the products out the door,
right,
satisfying the customer's needs. So for us to really spend the time to really engage at the level necessary to follow everything that comes out of Columbia or DC for that matter, right, it takes a lot of time.
Sure.
So our efforts, and really we don't have the manpower to do so. So we really rely on the chamber to provide that information to us, to do that research, okay, and that way we can make informed decisions.
Well, and that's what we're here for, and you're exactly right. And I think a lot of our businesses, and not just members, but businesses in the community, overlook that fact that we're doing that every day, and keeping track of that. Dave, you mentioned the state and federal issues, but it's not just at the state and federal level, it's also at the local level. So with the goals that we've got for this next year, how will we better monitor or track at the local level, and what does that mean?
Well, the chamber has 800 plus businesses.
Right.
That's a huge service area. There's 4 municipalities, there's 3 school districts,
right,
and then there's the county government.
Sure.
Well, that's a lot of information that comes across, and not everyone has an opportunity to sit and listen to all these council meetings on Monday or Tuesday or whenever they are.
Right.
So we really need to be positioned to track what's been developed or what's been said and what's been discussed at those levels. And quite frankly, it's a lot of information that comes across there, but not all of it is relative to business.
Sure.
So we really need to be able to track that and understand what's happening at that level.
So I think one of the plans is to have more of those entities come to our Government Relations Task Force, provide content there, but also to have our members kind of look and be assigned to some of those roles. Is that what you and your group kind of envision for that?
Very much so. With the members that we work with on our Government Relations Task Force, they each have different elements that they really are in tune to.
Sure, absolutely.
So it's benefiting to have that so they can bring back to the Government Relations Task Force and inform us as a committee.
Bring their expertise. If it's a school district in Fort Mill or York or Rock Hill, then they can bring that information to us. That's a great way to approach it. So outline the goal or plan for the Chamber's effort at the local level. We just kind of touched on that just a little bit just then.
Well, we need to ensure that those folks that are serving in the government level is really informed about their impacts on business. Sometimes those impacts can be great, and sometimes it can be negative.
Sure.
So we want to be an informative decision or information to them so that they're making informed decisions. Not to be critical of their decisions, sure, but we want to ensure that they understand their impact of what decisions they're being reviewed and looked upon.
I got you. So our intent is not to go to a county council meeting or a city council meeting and say, hey, y'all are doing this wrong. Our job is to make sure they have the information before they make decisions so that they don't negatively impact business or the community, and it turns out to be a positive outcome every time. Is that right?
Right, because as you look at what let's say a county council person looks at, they're looking at zoning laws, they're looking at issues relative to this, that, and the other, and not necessarily all of it is related to business. So,
sure.
So when they look at a packet of information for a meeting, it's 40, 50 pages.
Sure.
So we have to be able to know what's in that packet of information also to give them that informative insight as it relates to business.
Absolutely. If not, we could end up with another Act 388 on our hands and have unintended consequences that nobody wanted, right?
Yeah.
So thinking about the state and federal level, you mentioned that earlier, there's a lot going on there. Every year there's literally hundreds, if not thousands, of bills that are introduced at the beginning of a 2-year cycle. How can the Chamber possibly keep up with that? What's our plan there to try to monitor all that and provide that information back to members better?
Well, a bill, especially at the federal level, it's usually not 1 or 2 paragraphs.
No.
It's probably 300 or 400 pages. So we really have to engage with our partners, that being at the federal level, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce.
Sure.
The state level, the South Carolina Chamber of Commerce. We also want to engage with the South Carolina Manufacturers Alliance. And of course, quite locally, we have the Charlotte Regional Business Alliance.
Sure.
That aids us. So, so gathering with those and understanding and working with those partners, it helps us to bring down those things a little bit to our level. In addition, we're starting a new podcast, so we're interviewing people on the local issues so that we're really getting a better understanding and being able to relay that information to businesses as well.
Well, that's a great point. So, part of the legislative priorities that we set each year, we're actually going to take that, we're going to identify people that are more aware or more tuned in to that particular issue and provide us good content back for our members. Back to what you said earlier, you've got a business to run. You don't have time to monitor and track every piece of legislation that goes on. You need that information provided to you in an easier way, and that's one of the things we do. And that'll be pretty much kind of like what we're doing here.
Yeah,
it'll be a one-on-one conversation.
It's a great format, and it's very interpersonal and able to engage with the audience.
Sure, I look forward to that, and I look forward to hosting that actually. So you're working with a number of folks. I think we've got Rick Duran of Duke Energy, Dr. Kimberly Faust of Winthrop University are both working on that. What would you say is kind of the end goal in mind for how we expand our advocacy efforts?
Well, we really need to be at the table. If it's an issue relative to business, we need to be at the table. We need to know and provide to those legislative entities information that's good, information that is balanced. And from that, we hope that they will make an informed decision. But our end goal is for the businesses that I mentioned previously of York County. We want to ensure they have an informative resource that's good quality information for business issues that are relative to business.
Well, that sounds good. So we want to make sure our elected officials, local, state, and federal level, they trust us that we're gonna dig into the issue, we're gonna evaluate it, and we're gonna provide them input on the front end, and that we want our businesses to know that we're here looking out for you every single day. Dave, I look forward to the work of this group, and legislative affairs it's how I started in chamber work almost 20 years ago when Rob Youngblood hired me. I think that it's something that we do and we do well, and when there's an issue that's very important, we kind of grab a hold of that and move it forward. But sometimes our advocacy efforts aren't necessarily a piece of legislation. It may be something like Pennies for Progress, advocating for the passage of that, and that'll be coming up again pretty soon. So look forward to your work.
I thank you, and I thank you for being a part of the Government Relations Task Force and advocacy that we're doing.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.